Matt, we see the influence Aaron Casey has on the field, obviously a big one this past week. What's the influence he has with his teammates during practices and all that to kind of create the environment to be the way he is on the field?
For sure. I'd say first off, he's a great teammate, which means you care about other people. You're selfless. He's a lead by example guy. Not, you guys know him. You talked to him, interviewed him. He's not a big rah-rah guy. He's going to prepare to the best of his ability. He's going to hold his teammates accountable. And what you see there is what we see every day at practice, and to be able to play fast. But he's put in the work. Really proud of who he is. But he brings guys along. Like from a teammate perspective, he brings guys along with him. He pulls guys up with him.
Matt, I asked Coach Allen about this too. Jordan Shaw, I know he was a guy that obviously had some notoriety, some accolades out of high school. But what has gotten him to a place where he is just sort of? I know there have been some injuries, but he's been a guy that just sort of demanded sort of an escalating amount of playing time these last 2-3 weeks.
For sure. The first thing, he's put the work in, right? So he's learned our system. He's able to play multiple positions. I'm really proud of his development. What makes him unique as a young player is mentality. I know I say that a lot to you guys, but that to me is, okay, how does a young guy step on the field? All these guys are talented that come in, right? But if you have that kind of mentality, to me, to step up in a big spot, not panic, perform at a high level, that's to me what separates, Jordan. But he's put the work in, he's earned that opportunity.
I mean, you've had injuries in the secondary, but the secondary's been playing better. So what do you kind of attribute the guys kind of coming together? I mean, you guys tipped a lot of passes on Saturday against Wisconsin. What have you seen for the last 2 weeks where they're sort of playing their best football, even though you've got some moving pieces?
Yeah, for sure. I think you've seen guys continue to focus on individual improvement. And then I think collectively, especially when there's a injury, guys rally together a little bit. So I think you've seen that with Noah going down, then you've seen Lewis Moore be more vocal, or you've seen different guys in certain spots say, okay, we got to really rally together and put this on our back, and guys have done that. So it's a next man up mentality, but I think they're taking a lot of pride in, hey, this is our job. We're down a couple guys, but we're going to get it done.
You ever had that with the position group?
Yeah, I think that's not that out of the norm. Guys feel like they have to be called up to the moment. They're calling themselves up to the moment, not me, because they know that it can't be a situation where there's a letdown from there. So I don't think that's. Oh, in my past?
Yeah.
I was fortunate to coach a guy named Michael Carter, who starts at nickel for the Jets right now at Duke. He's 5th round draft pick, and Mike, his true freshman year, the Husky in our system had gone down, and we had to win a couple games to punch bowl eligibility, and he did that, and then in a bowl game and won a bowl game too. So I've had that before where a young guy steps up, and I think guys put their arm around that guy, and they say, okay, hey, how can we make sure that he knows that, we got his back, and that guy steps up into the spot from there. It's on our job as coaches to have those guys ready to go. So I think it's everybody rallying together, and I think that's what you're seeing, from a mentality, a fight, togetherness right now.
In the fourth quarter, I want to say you all allowed 53 total yards. What was kind of the key for that strong finish? And then kind of on more of like a mental perspective, what that kind of show you about how mentally tough your team is?
Yeah, for sure. I think if you go back 2 weeks, we didn't finish a game, right? We all know that. And we called it out for what it is as coaches and as players. And we challenged all of ourselves to have a finishing mentality, right? And I think that's really how you're judged in life, is how you finish. And I told the guys this, they laugh and look at me crazy, but I told them if we took every single one of the players, there's an old David Cutcliffe told me this years ago when I was at Duke, if you took every one of our players or coaches and you had you went to a park that was just trashed, food all over the place, drinks, that kind of stuff, and you said, hey, call me when the job's finished. Well, you might get 50 different examples of what finished looked like from 50 different guys, right? The best players, the best in anything, business, whatever it is, the best finishers, right? So we challenged our guys, hey, this is the moment of competitive excellence, being at your best when, it counts the most, and to step up. And I think that our guys responded.
Coach, I think Tom got asked Saturday about kind of the amount of turning points that there were possibly in that game and how your defense kind of came through in a lot of those opportunities. Does it feel like your defense is playing more opportunistic, especially with the last 3 games here, presenting the kind of opportunity to still play for the postseason?
Yeah, I think it goes both ways. One, you have to make your breaks, right? So you have to force fumbles first to get a fumble recovery, right? And then 2, sometimes the ball has to bounce your way too, So I think that we've harped big time on making our own breaks and capitalizing, right? And the ball finds energy. So I think you saw that with a couple fumble opportunities that we were able to jump on and capitalize from there. So I would say a combination of both those things. But we've been harping on it, and the guys responded.
Yeah, I think defense had 8 pass breakups last week. I'm curious just how unique of a season this has been for you in terms of it's your first year. You're working with a lot of guys who weren't here, and kind of how you've been able to get them to play in a cohesive way, especially this last week.
Yeah, for sure. I think you just keep holding guys accountable, and you have a standard and a picture, in our mind of what it should look like, and we keep showing that. And, we've been close, but we haven't finished that way, and, like I've said before, you be objective with it, us as a staff too, right? And you say, okay, what do our players do best? How do we put them in position? I think we did a better job of that this past week, and then those guys, finishing the plays that they're supposed to make in position to be able to do. Not trying to give you a runaround answer, but that's, just as simple as that. Hey, what do we do best? Let's fight as hard as we can every single snap. And I think what you've seen too is the guys like this past week doing your 111th, right? Not pressing to do somebody else's job, taking control of just my responsibility. I thought we did that at a higher level.
I think Tom was talking about how Aaron Casey said, he was really bothered by the way he played against Rutgers, and just what have you seen from the response in Aaron over the last couple of weeks since then?
Yeah, I've seen he's always been a good practice player, but I've seen an elite practice player, right? So to me, taking a step from his preparation standpoint, us challenging him taking that challenge, challenging the defense. But yeah, it's, you get what you see on the practice field, and we've seen a high-level practice player, and you saw a high-level player on the field.
Matt Holt, Josh Rudolph seem to get a little more playing time. Vincent Snead getting out there some. How big is it for you as defensive staff that I know depth's important, but you're really starting to develop some depth here late in the year when guys are nicked up and banged up and maybe can't go as many snaps as they were 4 or 5 weeks ago?
Yeah, it's huge. Just in general, it's a big deal, obviously, to be able to have that. But I think it helps you in the fourth quarter, too, right? Because if guys, there's not a rotation, sometimes you're a little bit gassed in that moment, right? So to be able to have that and be able to build depth, it's huge for those guys. It's earned. No one goes out there without it being earned. But, yeah, especially in that linebacker rotation, those guys have done a really good job. Thanks, guys.